Have you ever felt the pull of a forgotten world calling from beneath the waves? What if the legendary city of Atlantis was not just a myth whispered through the ages, but a buried truth, one etched into the ocean floor and the echoes of ancient memory? Beneath the silence of the deep lies a riddle humanity has yet to solve, and the clues may be far closer than we've dared to imagine. They say Atlantis vanished in a single day and night. But what if it never truly disappeared, only slipped into shadow, waiting for us to remember? This isn't just a story of a sunken island, it's the story of who we were, who we are, and what we may become. A civilization whose fall may hold the key to our future. A mystery not lost, but hidden. What if the story of Atlantis isn't just a myth, but a memory? Beneath the churning tides of the world's oceans lie secrets older than the pyramids, older than the written word, perhaps older than history itself. For millennia, whispers have danced through the corridors of time, speaking of a lost continent, an ancient realm of unparalleled wisdom, technology, and spiritual mastery. Atlantis. A name that stirs both skepticism and wonder, cloaked in equal parts mystery and majesty. But what if the tale Plato told was not allegory, but echo? What if the truth wasn't erased, only submerged? Across the globe, submerged cities, unexplained megalithic structures, and geological anomalies point to a past far more complex than modern academia dares to admit. From the sunken ruins off the coast of Japan and India to the enigmatic Bimini Road in the Bahamas, these sites may hold fragments of a forgotten epoch. An epoch where humanity stood at the precipice of cosmic understanding, and then fell. In this journey, we will delve into ancient texts, channel esoteric wisdom, and explore scientific clues that challenge the mainstream narrative. We will question who the Atlanteans were, what caused their fall, and, most importantly, why their legacy still matters. This is not just a story about a lost land. This is a map, hidden in plain sight. A cipher to unlock higher consciousness. Atlantis may be a forgotten continent, but its memory is etched in your soul. Prepare to dive deep, literally and metaphysically, into waters where myth and reality intertwine, because the evidence is underwater, and it's waiting to rise. To uncover the truth about Atlantis, we must journey not only across oceans but also backward through time, beyond the veil of modern thought, deep into the ancestral memory of humanity. The first known mention of Atlantis comes from the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who wrote of it in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, around 360 BCE. He described a mighty civilization, blessed with immense knowledge, spiritual insight, and technological prowess, an island empire larger than Libya and Asia combined, positioned beyond the Pillars of Heracles, known today as the Strait of Gibraltar. Atlantis, he said, flourished with opulent cities, lush landscapes, and an enlightened people who harnessed the forces of nature with ease and reverence. But their downfall, he warned, came not from external enemies, but from within. Corruption, pride, and the loss of divine connection led to their destruction in a single day and night of catastrophic earthquakes and floods. Mainstream scholars have long dismissed Plato's account as allegory, philosophical fiction meant to illustrate moral decay. Yet Plato himself claimed the story was true, passed down through Egyptian priests to Solon, and eventually to him. Why would a philosopher of such repute insist on the truth of a tale so seemingly fantastical? Unless, perhaps, he was preserving a memory, not inventing a metaphor. Let us widen the lens. Across diverse ancient cultures, we find strikingly similar myths of great floods and sunken civilizations. The Sumerians spoke of Eridu, the first city, swallowed by deluge. The Hindus recount the tale of Kumari Kandam, a lost land south of India. The Maya, the Aztec, the Dogon of Mali, all speak of ancestral homelands drowned beneath rising waters. These are not isolated stories, they form a global pattern, a chorus echoing a singular trauma, a collective amnesia buried beneath the ocean floor. But why was this knowledge forgotten, or more precisely, hidden? Esoterically, Atlantis represents more than a physical place. It is a symbol of a golden age of consciousness, a time when humanity lived in harmony with the earth and the cosmos. The Atlanteans were said to be initiates of sacred science, masters of frequency, crystal energy, and celestial alignment. They understood the sacred geometry of the universe and wove it into their architecture, language, and way of life. According to Hermetic and Theosophical traditions, this knowledge was never lost, only concealed. After the fall of Atlantis, survivors carried fragments of their wisdom to Egypt, Mesoamerica, India, and beyond. There, it seeded the mystery schools, encoded in pyramids, temples, and ancient texts, waiting for those with the eyes to see and the heart to understand. Over time, as materialism grew and spiritual insight waned, this wisdom was locked away, veiled in allegory, obscured by time, and actively suppressed by institutions that feared its liberating power. For if humanity were to remember its true origins, its divine potential, the structures of control that bind the modern world would crumble. This is why the story of Atlantis matters. It is not just the story of a sunken continent, but of a fallen consciousness. It is the archetypal tale of forgetting and remembering, of descent and ascent. And it invites us to look not just for ruins beneath the sea, but for remnants within ourselves. If Atlantis was real, if it truly existed as a physical place as well as a spiritual symbol, then where is it now? To answer that, we must shift our gaze from the myths above to the mysteries below. Beneath the vast, undulating surface of our oceans lies a hidden world, one that defies conventional timelines and rattles the foundations of history as we know it. Let us begin with the Bimini Road, an underwater formation located near North Bimini Island in the Bahamas. Discovered in 1968, this curious path of large limestone blocks stretches in a near straight line, resembling a long-lost sea wall or ancient walkway. Mainstream geologists argue that it is a natural formation, yet many independent researchers and marine archaeologists point to its distinct right angles, uniform shapes, and seemingly intelligent design. Could it be part of a sunken harbor, or the remains of an Atlantean outpost swallowed by time? Further afield, off the coast of Japan, lie the Yonaguni monuments, massive underwater structures with terraces, steps, and what appear to be roads carved directly into the bedrock. Discovered by diver Kihachiro Aratake in 1986, these formations resemble temples or ceremonial complexes. While some dismiss them as natural formations, Others argue they are too precise, too symmetrical, and too deliberate to be the work of random geological processes. If man-made, they would date back at least 10,000 years, predating the oldest known civilizations by millennia. Off the western coast of India, in the Gulf of Khambhat, sonar scans in the early 2000s revealed an even more staggering anomaly, what appeared to be a massive, submerged city. Divers retrieved artifacts, pottery shards, and fossilized bones, carbon dated to nearly 9,000 years old. The site aligns eerily with ancient Indian legends of a once glorious city swallowed by the sea, known as Dwarka. These findings, largely ignored or downplayed by mainstream academia, offer tantalizing clues. Perhaps the sea holds not one Atlantis, but many echoes of a global civilization that once thrived in harmony with the Earth's rhythms. And then there is Antarctica, largely hidden beneath thick layers of ice. Satellite images and suppressed government data have fueled theories that an ancient city lies buried beneath its frozen shell. Some even claim the continent itself was once part of Atlantis before a cataclysmic pole shift cast it into the deep freeze. These claims, though controversial, mirror esoteric teachings that speak of global cataclysms, massive floods, earth shifts, and the fall of great cities whose names we no longer remember. But perhaps most revealing of all is the alignment of ancient megalithic sites around the world. From the Great Pyramid of Giza to Stonehenge, from the temples of Peru to the ruins in Cambodia, these sites appear to be positioned along what some call Earth's energy grid, a vast network of ley lines and nodal points. Could it be that the Atlanteans, with their advanced knowledge of geometry and celestial navigation, laid the foundation for a planetary system of sacred sites, most of which now lie underwater? The idea may seem fantastical, but is it any more incredible than what we already accept as historical truth? After all, science now acknowledges that sea levels were over 400 feet lower during the last ice age. Entire coastlines, cities, and cultures could have existed along the edges of prehistoric land masses, only to vanish as the ice melted and the oceans rose. Atlantis may not be a single location, but rather a tapestry of interconnected cultures, an ancient, spiritually advanced global civilization whose memory still lingers in myth, architecture, and submerged ruins. The Earth has a long memory, and the oceans, like a sacred vault, have preserved the remnants of that forgotten age, not to mock us with silence, but to whisper to those who are ready to listen. To truly grasp the enigma of Atlantis, we must move beyond the surface of stone and sediment and plunge into the depths of symbolism, myth, and paradox. Atlantis is more than a lost city. It is a mirror reflecting humanity's eternal struggle between light and shadow, knowledge and hubris, creation and destruction. At its core, the story of Atlantis embodies a profound spiritual allegory. The island's radiant golden age symbolizes a state of unified consciousness, where humanity lived in harmonious attunement with the cosmic order, attuned to the subtle frequencies of the earth and the heavens. The Atlanteans, as ancient mystics tell us, were adepts of sacred science, wielding technologies that harmonized energy, crystal resonance, and geometry. Their temples were not mere buildings but conduits of cosmic power, designed to align with planetary cycles and the celestial dance of stars and planets. In this way, Atlantis represents a civilization not only advanced materially, but deeply evolved spiritually. Yet the downfall of Atlantis is equally significant, not just as a cautionary tale of natural disaster but as a timeless warning against the misuse of power and the loss of spiritual connection. The Atlanteans' pride and desire for control, as Plato suggested, fractured their sacred unity. In esoteric traditions, this fall is seen as the consequence of a shift from heart-centered wisdom to ego-driven domination, a betrayal of the divine balance that sustains life. This duality echoes through myths worldwide. The fall is a universal archetype, appearing as the Garden of Eden's exile, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, or the great floods of many cultures. Atlantis stands as the ultimate expression of this mythic cycle, glory followed by catastrophe, knowledge obscured by time, and a promise of rebirth hidden in the ruins. Adding to the mystery are the paradoxes that cloud Atlantis. Was it a continent or a city-state? A utopia or a dystopia? A literal place or a symbol? These contradictions invite us to question the limits of rational thought and open the door to deeper intuitive knowing. After all, the ancient wisdom encoded in myth does not always speak in straightforward terms but in layered metaphors, designed to awaken the inner eye. Contemporary alternative perspectives deepen this intrigue. Some researchers propose that Atlantis was a highly evolved extraterrestrial colony, a fusion of Earth's native cultures and cosmic visitors who shared advanced knowledge. Others link Atlantean technology to crystal energy and sound frequency, an early understanding of what we now call quantum physics. Such theories, once relegated to the fringes, now find echoes in new scientific discoveries and the resurgence of interest in ancient wisdom traditions. One of the lesser-known facts is the connection between Atlantis and the mythical city of Shambhala, said in Tibetan Buddhism to be a hidden kingdom of enlightened beings. Some scholars suggest that these tales stem from a shared source, an ancient spiritual reality that transcends geography and culture. The disappearance of Atlantis, then, becomes not only a physical event but a spiritual veil, concealing truths from a world not yet ready to receive them. Moreover, the idea that Atlantis was deliberately hidden or forgotten speaks to the cyclical nature of human evolution. The knowledge of Atlantis is said to rise and fall in waves, accessible only when humanity reaches a certain threshold of collective awakening. This ebb and flow suggests that Atlantis is not just in the past, it is also a potential future, a blueprint for humanity's next leap in consciousness, should we learn from the mistakes of our ancestors. However, many misconceptions surround Atlantis, often fueled by sensationalism or escapism. It is neither simply a lost city of gold, waiting to be found, nor a cautionary tale with a neat moral ending. It is far more complex, a multidimensional symbol that invites us to explore our own depths. To confront Atlantis is to confront ourselves, our fears, our dreams, and our capacity for both destruction and divine creation. As we peel back these layers, we see Atlantis not as a closed chapter of history, but an ongoing narrative, a spiritual code embedded in the Earth's very fabric. And this code beckons the seeker, the mystic, and the curious mind to dive deeper, to listen closely, and to awaken. The story of Atlantis is not merely a distant myth or an archaeological puzzle locked beneath the waves, it is a living invitation. An ancient call to awaken the dormant powers within each of us and to realign with the sacred harmony that once flourished on that lost continent. But how can we, separated by millennia and oceans of change, connect with such a profound legacy? The answer lies not in excavation alone, but in inner exploration and conscious practice. First, the Atlantean wisdom centers on balance, between technology and nature, mind and spirit, outer knowledge and inner knowing. To reclaim this balance in our modern lives, one practical approach is the use of sacred geometry, a language Atlantis spoke fluently. Simple meditative exercises using geometric patterns, such as the flower of life or Metatron's cube, can help recalibrate the brain, opening neural pathways that connect us with universal harmony. Visualizing these shapes or even incorporating them into art and daily spaces can subtly shift our energy, grounding us in the interconnected web of life. Another key practice rooted in Atlantean tradition is crystal energy work. Atlantis is often depicted as a civilization that harnessed the power of crystals to amplify healing, communication, and spiritual insight. Today, many spiritual seekers use crystals like quartz, amethyst, and lapis lazuli for meditation and energy clearing. By intentionally holding or placing these stones during quiet reflection, you may begin to tune into the subtle frequencies that mirror the Atlanteans' mastery, encouraging clarity, protection, and alignment with higher consciousness. Breathwork and sound also play vital roles. Ancient Atlantean lore speaks of sound vibrations as a tool for manifestation and transformation. Chanting, toning, or listening to specific frequencies such as the solfeggio scale can awaken deep cellular memory and shift consciousness. Incorporating these sonic techniques into your spiritual practice can open doors to intuition and inner realms, much like the Atlantean initiates who understood the sacred resonance of the universe. Of course, these practices are not mere curiosities. They hold the potential to transform everyday experience. By cultivating awareness and balance through these methods, we begin to dissolve the fragmentation of modern life, the disconnection from nature, the stress of constant distraction, the inner chaos born of external turmoil. The Atlantean legacy teaches us that healing begins within, radiating outward to create harmony in relationships, communities, and even the planet. But awakening to this knowledge also requires courage, the courage to confront shadows both personal and collective. The fall of Atlantis reminds us that power without wisdom can lead to ruin. In your journey, be mindful of ego traps, the temptation to see yourself as special, or to misuse spiritual tools for control or escape. True Atlantean wisdom is humble and compassionate, guiding us toward service and stewardship rather than dominance. Finally, integration is key. The wisdom of Atlantis calls us to live consciously, with respect for Earth's cycles, with reverence for ancient knowledge, and with a commitment to growth. Practices such as nature immersion, ritualized gratitude, and mindful community building help anchor this awakening in tangible reality. You are not just reconnecting to a forgotten civilization, you are embodying a timeless truth that has the power to shape a new era. As you explore these techniques, remember that Atlantis is more than a place, it is a state of being. Each step toward balance, harmony, and higher awareness is a step toward bringing that lost world back to life, not beneath the waves, but within your own heart. As we draw the veil back from the mystery of Atlantis, What emerges is not a simple tale of a lost civilization, but a profound allegory of human potential and peril. Atlantis beckons us across time, not only as a warning of what may come when we stray from harmony, but also as a beacon of what is possible when we align with the deeper rhythms of existence. Beneath the ocean's surface lie the ruins of a forgotten age, yes, but also beneath the layers of our own consciousness lie the echoes of that ancient wisdom, waiting to be awakened. The evidence suggests that Atlantis was not merely myth, but a reality intertwined with our spiritual and material history, a civilization whose downfall was as much about inner imbalance as it was about natural catastrophe. The submerged roads, the ancient monuments, the encoded symbolism, and the flood myths scattered across cultures all whisper the same secret, that humanity once touched a higher state of being, a sacred resonance with the cosmos. And though that era ended, the seed remains, buried yet alive. Our journey through Atlantis is a journey into ourselves. It calls us to remember that the cycles of rise and fall are not just external events, but reflections of our own inner worlds. Will we repeat the mistakes of arrogance and disconnection? Or will we rise with new eyes, aware, humble, and awakened? This mystery does not offer final answers, but rather an open question, an invitation. What if Atlantis is not just beneath the waves, but also within you? What ancient powers lie dormant in your heart, waiting to be reawakened? What new harmony might emerge if we listen deeply, to the oceans, to the stars, to the silent wisdom etched into the fabric of the earth? The story of Atlantis reminds us that the past is never truly lost, and that the future is not fixed. It is a living myth, a cosmic code, and a spiritual path. As seekers, explorers, and custodians of this knowledge, it is our sacred task to carry this torch forward, not to chase shadows, but to illuminate new possibilities. If this journey into the depths of Atlantis has stirred your spirit, I invite you to dive even deeper, explore, question, meditate, and share. The ocean of wisdom is vast, and every ripple carries a secret waiting to be heard. Thank you for joining me in this exploration. If you feel called, leave your thoughts and experiences below. Let's awaken this ancient legacy together.